Today we're talking about the 4 expenses that retirees almost always underestimate. So let's talk them through. Number 1, we almost always underestimate the cost of healthcare. And it's a reminder, Medicare doesn't cover everything.
That's right.
So talk through this unexpected expense.
Yeah, and Medicare doesn't kick in until 65.
That too,
so you may have to insure yourself through the healthcare marketplace or COBRA or what have you. So oftentimes that is overlooked by clients that are saying, I want to retire. And I point out to them, okay, what health benefits do you have? If you work for a major corporation, those benefits are probably pretty good. So we need to build a bucket for healthcare expenses, and then later stage of life expenses, home care, long-term care come into play as well. So that can be a big part of a financial plan, and it's something that we emphasize that people oftentimes overlook.
Also part of that is a plan for long-term care. As we've said before, 7 out of 10 people will need long-term care at some point, and if you don't have a plan, it's going to wipe out your savings.
Yeah, and it's fairly straightforward. There are 4 ways to insure for long-term care. You can buy a straight long-term care policy. The flaw in that is it looks relatively cheap on a month-to-month basis, but the insurance company oftentimes will raise that rate. Unfortunately, 5 years or 10 years down the road, they raise the rate and now you're stuck. So I'm not favorable on straight long-term care, but there are 3 other options. You could buy an income annuity with a home care rider that will double your income payment for 5 years if you need home care. Or you could buy a life insurance policy and it truly will be life insurance. If you need it for home care or long-term care, you can draw down a large majority of that death benefit tax-free to use for long-term care. The 4th way to insure for long-term care is self-insure. Just pay it out of your pocket. So for high net worth clients, that's typically a favorable way to go.
Number 2 expense would be housing. Even if you own your home outright, which a lot of retirees hope to do, you're still going to have expenses.
Yeah, especially if it's your primary residence that you raised your kids in, it's going to get aged. You're going to want to upgrade the bathroom or the kitchen. And I can tell you firsthand, we've done some construction in my house and the price tags are quite steep on renovations. So we will discuss with our clients, is it time to sell your primary residence and move into something newer with less maintenance? So that's a big discussion, and it's not a discussion that I'm in a position to dictate to, because obviously it's your homestead, it's very important to you, and you have ties back to your family, but we can map out I can let you know from a financial perspective what to expect and how to handle it. And then you have to make a decision on whether you want to carry that home through the rest of your life and only move out of it when it becomes unmanageable.
I think too, it's also underestimated because there are expenses you're not thinking about now, like shoveling the driveway. You're going to want to pay somebody to do that. Mowing the lawn, landscape, stuff like that that's not in your calculation now.
Well, hopefully we're not going to be shoveling the driveway too many years in Atlanta, but you're right. This past year we did.
With garden shovels.
Yeah, exactly right. But yes, there are unexpected expenses in owning a home, but we have a history of that. But when you're working, you just say, okay, we need it repaired, just write the check. When you're retired, you're looking at it and saying, oh, this is going to invade our nest egg. So we do need to plan and set aside monies for that.
Number 3, taxes, one of your favorites. A lot of retirees underestimate what they will be paying in taxes in retirement. And we are still paying income taxes. I know that's a dirty word for you.
It is.
In retirement. And a lot of retirees also don't realize that Social Security is taxed.
That's right. Up to 80% of Social Security is taxed. And the genesis and the thing I don't like about the way the government has forced us into this tax trap is deferring taxes when we start working. And we get addicted to it. We put all the money in tax deferred. There's an imbalance between that typically in portfolios and tax-free investing or taxable investing, where you invest with after-tax money and you're only taxed on the growth. So if you have a disproportionate amount of tax-deferred assets, we need to sit down and begin to uncouple you from the worst tax trap out there is income tax. Why? Tax rates are relatively low historically right now.
Doesn't feel like it, but...
And there's not one person that I've talked to that believes they're going down. I think universally we believe taxes will eventually go up. So let's get ahead of it. Act now on that. Do not wait another year or 2 or 5 for tax rates to change and then find out you're in a tax bomb.
And then last, travel and leisure.
Love it.
We want to enjoy our hard-earned retirement. We don't want to feel like we need to be a penny pincher.
Yeah, and I see it, unfortunately, even with my own clients. They'll say, okay, we're retiring, and then they come in the first year or the second year, and I say, okay, tell me about the trips, tell me about visiting the grandkids or the kids that are out of state. And sometimes they say, no, we've just kind of settled in. And that's not the time to do it. You're your healthiest when you first retire, and you have the most amount of money potentially when you first retire. So you shouldn't retire unless your financial plan raises your confidence level and lowers your stress. And when you look at your financial plan and say, we can do this, and you get excited about retiring, you're not in fear, that's the time to retire. Otherwise, ask your financial advisor to run multiple iterations of that plan to narrow it down to the one. It's almost like shopping for a home, right? You go and you look at two houses. This one was nice in this way. This one was nice in another way, but it wasn't perfect. Eventually, we will create a financial plan for you that you say, this is the one. We're moving into this, and we're moving out of the workforce.
So those are the four, again, most underestimated expenses. You're invited on this program because you're an expert in your field. What are the other expenses that we are missing from this list?
The big, I used to call it the $10,000 event. That was a decade or two ago, but now it's more like a $20,000 annual event. Something will surprise you in life. It'll be a home repair that's expensive, or it'll be a new car, or it'll be that dream trip you wanted to take, or it will be, I don't know, funding a grandkid's college year or something like that. So we need to plan for the big events. A lot of folks, when I first meet with them, discount those big expenditures. They say, well, that was a one-time event, but every year they have them. So build them into the financial plan, or we build it into the financial plan, so that you can live and not be in fear that this is the only income we've got just to pay for groceries and for gasoline in the car. You need to make sure you don't get hit with that big expense that's unplanned that hurts your financial plan. That's not a plan, that's a reaction.
Right.
So we definitely prepare for that.
Well said. Good answers, Chris. Well, this is also a good time to remind everyone that when you work with a professional, you can eliminate these surprises.